Hello, today we're going to talk about our Disciplinary and Professional Literacies project. The goals for this assignment are really to let you have a chance to explore what you might be interested in. It lets you learn a little bit more about your future educational or your professional pathway. We're going to look at these academic and professional communities as a culture. A group of insiders and outsiders and how they communicate. It will give you an opportunity to interact with an insider in your discipline or profession and to do some research to learn more what types of things do people in this discipline or profession do. You'll gather all this information together in one project. So what is this project that you're going to be doing? Well, first I want to start with a couple of terms. First, disciplinary literacy. What is it? And this definition from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction says that disciplinary literacy is the confluence of content knowledge, experience, and skills merged with the ability to read, write, listen, speak, think critically, and perform in a way that is meaningful within the context of a given field. So it's really knowing what it means to be part of that profession or discipline. The types of things you'll write, the types of things you'll read, the types of things you'll do, knowing who you're going to interact with, your audience, and the mode, the how that you're going to have these communications. Here's a few other useful additional terms, and we'll probably add some more throughout the project as well. First, this difference between disciplines and profession. A discipline is a field of study or a branch of learning. So you might be studying mathematics or engineering or maybe even writing. Your profession is your job or your occupation, your employment. So what are you actually going to maybe do with that degree, with that major? Sometimes we think about our discipline as a major. Our positionality, this is definitely something we'll be exploring with our very beginning tasks. So your positionality is who you are as a person and how that might affect you within this profession or discipline, and even just as a researcher within that community. Emic, those are those insiders, the people who kind of are part of it, whereas outsiders are called an etic perspective. One other thing that we'll be thinking a little bit about with this assignment too is our privilege, those unearned access to social power. What helps us? What gives us maybe that little bit of edge that sometimes is just a product of circumstances? Which brings us to our next question. What are we doing with this project? Well, this project is a collection of artifacts that you're going to put all together in one final product to kind of share what you have learned. So let's talk a little bit about the artifacts. Your first two artifacts are part of the pre-writing process. So artifact 1 is inquiry, and you will answer some questions thinking about your own personal interest in a particular discipline or profession. Your personal SWOT, which is artifact 2, is where you're going to really bring in those positionalities, those privileges of who you are. You're going to think about your own strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as a future member of this particular discipline or profession. There will be a worksheet in Google Classroom for you to use for that. Artifacts 3 through 5 really get us into our research. So our first artifact, 3, is a general interest source. This is something that might be in a newspaper or a magazine, and it has something to do with your discipline or profession, but it's not written necessarily by insiders, and it's not necessarily for insiders. Your trade or professional organization, artifact 4, is where you look at something that is very much so insiders to insiders. But it's a different type of insider than our artifact 5, which is an academic source. And we'll talk a lot more about what those things mean. In fact, We'll get our own visit to the library and have a librarian help us work through those as well. Artifact 6. This is where we start to think about, well, how do I really become an insider? By analyzing some job ads. We may want to visit the career services, or maybe they'll even come into our classroom if they're able to. We'll learn a little bit more what types of jobs are available. Where are they at? What do you need to do to be able to be an insider, to join this field or this profession that you're interested in? The last piece of the assignment is the interview synthesis. So this project invites you to actually interact with someone within the discipline or profession that you're interested in. We'll help you find someone if you're not sure who to talk to, but you will actually have an interview, preferably face-to-face, although it can be virtual, so it doesn't have to be literally in person, but maybe Zoom or some other virtual format, maybe just a telephone call. If we get to it and you're unable to get to that point, you might be able to do an emailed list of questions, but then you kind of lose some of that interaction that is an important piece actually of interviewing. But this piece asks you to talk with someone who's working in this discipline or profession, and you'll kind of use some of the earlier research that you've done to maybe help you guide some of your questions to learn more what it means to be part of this profession. You'll write this up as a synthesis piece, and we'll talk a lot more about what that means as well, because it's not just saying, I asked, they said. It's really taking what they said and using it as research to show, here's what's happening, putting it all together. So that's a lot of little pieces really to kind of collect and gather. And there's some different ways that you might want to put that together. Here are the 3 options or choices that you might have for this particular assignment. 1, you can put this together as a written report using Google Docs. You'll want to use sections to label the artifacts in the interview synthesis. And we'll talk about how to use accessibility features like headings to make those very quickly to navigate through. Second, you can make a slideshow. If you want to put together some type of Google slideshow that shares the different artifacts in the pieces, you can use that tool. Third, if you're really feeling like challenging yourself, or maybe this is something that you just enjoy doing or want to give it a try, you could put together kind of a website/blog. Google Sites has some great free ones, although there are some other tools that we can talk about as well. To help us with this assignment in Google Classroom, and then also linked on the website, there is a checklist. Hopefully this will really help everyone see these are the different pieces. Here's when they're due. Here's where I'll find out about them. And then you can just check off, I've got those done. So it'll help you keep track a little bit more clearly of what work needs to be done and what you've done so far. This is not a tool that will be turned in at this time, but it's something that you can keep to keep yourself on track. And our grading. Like all of our assignments in here, this is worth 100 points, and it's broken up into those 3 pieces. The first 10 points are your purpose, where you're setting your goal for the project. Your next 40 points are actually completing the process. So this is doing those artifacts, that interview synthesis, and those additional choices that are in that checklist as well. Remember, a lot of the choices for the different pieces of our writing process are actually just coming to class and participating in the work that we do there. The final 50 points, because this is where learning really happens, is where you reflect on how the whole process went. What did you learn about writing, about your profession, about your discipline through this process that you went through of putting together the disciplinary and professional literacies? I'm sure we all still have some questions, so we'll certainly talk about this in class, and you'll have an opportunity to ask some of those specific questions as well. But you can always email me too. And if you check the contact information on our course website, www.writingwithdrp.com, you can make an appointment to talk with me during office hours as well, and I'm happy to go over some of those details to help you understand the assignment more clearly. And some quick credits. The majority of this slideshow is from Slides Carnival, as well as some free images from Pixabay.